YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live podcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back this beautiful Tuesday evening, and where we do come to you live from Kampala, Uganda, for the latest from the world of football. I hope everyone of you is doing well. I hope you guys have had a wonderful day. I'm following up on updates for that game between Wolverhampton Wanderers and West Ham United, and Wolves have just scored two quick goals to find the equalizer against West Ham United, and also scored another to find the difference to lead that game by 3-2 in the second round of the EFL Cup, or the Carabao Cup. That game is ongoing. Then Brentford are 2-0 up against Bournemouth. That game is ongoing as well. Barnsley are leading by 2-1 against Rotterdam, and so many other fixtures that are ongoing. Manchester United are in action tomorrow, so we'll get to discuss that tomorrow. But yeah, tonight we will be discussing other matters pertaining both transfers and Jesus Christ. I don't know what's happening. Trying to refresh my page to have our motions updated. But yeah, it was taking forever. I don't know what's happening. Is it the internet or something? Shouldn't be. Looks like our connection is good. It's good for the call. But anyways, I hope every single one of you is doing okay. So allow me have our audios tested, make sure everything does check out, so that we are not missing out on any single beat. I think we're good to go on the part of our audios. I think we're good to go. I think we are good to go in that regard. West Ham have made some changes, bringing in Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson just coming on there to see if West Ham can salvage this game. Rodriguez was withdrawn for Callum Wilson. Oh, beautiful free kick floated in by James Ward-Prowse. And then Wolves go on the counter. They're looking for the fourth. Looks a bit of a delayed pass. Should have looked across it much earlier. What a wasted opportunity. What a wasted chance. What kind of decision making was that? Everything he had to do was simple. Curl that ball beyond the reach of the defenders, and it would reach his teammate on the other side. And then bang, it would have been 4-2. And West Ham would have easily been out of this fixture. And Victor Pereira would be really furious with his player on that on that front. But yeah, that's ongoing. That's ongoing, and we will keep tabs on that as well. But like I said, that's a game between Wolverhampton Wanderers and West Ham United in the Carabao Cup. Tonight we'll be discussing matters transfers as Jakub Kiwior is close to an Arsenal exit, while the Gunners also reached an agreement on personal terms with a Bayer Leverkusen defender as the transfer window edges as the close of the transfer window continuously edges closer and closer. Remember, it does shut down on the 1st of September. That's when we're going to kiss goodbye to the transfer window, and then we will have our full focus on everyday football, match analysis, previews, reviews, things like that. We will look to assess who would have had a better transfer window in comparison, especially for the big six. And then Crystal Palace have reached an agreement with Villarreal for the transfer of Jeremy Pino. The agreement in place between all parties involved, 30 million euro fixed fee plus add-ons a long-term deal for the winger who said yes to Crystal Palace, leaving Villarreal. That exclusive story from last week by Fabrizio Romano. Yeah, that's what he is emphasizing up on. Then there's a bit of unfortunate news down here in Uganda, as a former Uganda Cranes midfielder, Mike Serumaga is admitted to the National Referral Hospital, that's in Mulago, after suffering what is feared to be a stroke. It's been reported that he bit his tongue. It's been also reported that that he's in, um, he's in a bit of a critical condition. He did hurt himself. I think he dislocated one of his legs, and he's had damage to his brain. I would not know to the extent of at what extent that is. So initial scans have revealed skull damage and complications with blood flow, and he later suffered a stroke. He did collapse. Mike Serumaga, one of the most celebrated former Uganda Cranes and midfielders, was very, very talented in his prime. Therefore, the Uganda Cranes, Mike Serumaga. Anyways, our prayers are with him and his family. We hope that they will be okay in the coming. That we can only pray for his speedy recovery and hope that everything will be fine. Otherwise, there's some sort for financial support. Then, okay. So then here's what is happening for that deal between. Apologies, just making sure everything is okay. Was checking out to make sure those messages are in check. Okay. Sometimes you do wonder whether everything does check out. Okay, quickly. So we know that FC Porto are really, really interested in signing Jakub Kiwior from Arsenal. The deal is believed to be about 26 million euros. They want him on an initial season-long loan deal with an obligation to buy. According to multiple sources, Porto sent officially an offer of about 26 million euros, a loan plus obligation package containing a fixed fee plus loan fee. Then Arsenal responded with a counter offer today also, which has been the main point of negotiations today. Specifics are being discussed, which include possibilities such as a sell-on fee and the UEFA Champions League related add-ons. Arsenal hoping the final fee will be around about 30 million euro mark. Either way, the deal is in its final stages. Andre Butter's ideal plan is to try, is to only sanction this deal once Arsenal secure the deal for that's Piero Hincapie. We know that Arsenal are into negotiations with Bayer Leverkusen over the signing of left-footed centre-back / left back. That's a Piero Hincapie, the 23-year-old Ecuadorian, left back. In terms of the player, Arsenal have already reached to an agreement on personal terms between Hincapie and his representatives. While Arsenal are well aware that he has a 60 million euro release clause in his contract, however, they are looking to strike a deal for under that fee. They do not want to pay that much. They're hoping that they can negotiate equally a loan deal with an obligation to buy in next summer, so that they can push that transfer fee to next financial year's spendings. And this is, by the way, according to the hand of Arsenal, says the reason for this strategy is for Andrea to ensure Mikel Arteta is fully equipped for his 2025-2026 campaign and not left short. A lot of moving parts and negotiations. Patience is going to be key in this particular deal. That's why, for those of you that were wondering why is the player getting the green light to travel to FC Porto, that's in Jakub Kiwior. Of course, on the part of Jakub Kiwior as well, personal terms have already been agreed, so they're not going to be an issue. 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 They're not going to be an issue they're not going to be an issue. So we'll wait and see on that one. But it's a deal that I do expect personally to go through or to advance in the next coming days. Okay. For now, let's be enjoying that game between West Ham United and Wolverhampton Wanderers as it edges closer. We're into the final minutes of added time between West Ham United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So that game, Wolves are leading West Ham by 3-2. Yeah, they are in the lead by 3-2. 3-2. West Ham trying to find an equalizer here. Oh, Gerard Bowen. By the way, I'm really surprised no top 6 teams have tried to go into to try and sign a Gerard Bowen, because he's one of those, very brilliant players that you would wish to have in your team on any given day. But still on the second round of the EFL Cup, Reading have advanced to the third round of the competition after beating Wimbledon by 2-1. Cambridge are on the verge of advancing to the third round. They are leading Charlton Athletic by 3-1. Like I said, the game between Wolverhampton Wanderers is edging closer. Actually, yes. Brentford are leading, Bournemouth by 2-0. Accrington Stanley are being led against Doncaster Rovers by 2-0. Barnsley are up 2-1 up against Wrexham United. Birmingham City do find themselves behind Port Vale. Port Vale leading that game by 1-0. Bromley and Wycombe Wanderers are 1-1 at the moment. Burnley and Derby County, it's 1-1. Burton Albion and Lincoln City, that's still goalless. Cardiff City are leading Cheltenham Town by 3-0. Norwich City 2 goals behind against Southampton. Preston North End and Wrexham are sharing the spoils at this stage in a 2-2 draw with about 8 minutes left to play to the 90-minute mark. Stoke City are 3-0 behind against Bradford City. Sunderland are 1-0 behind Huddersfield Town, while Swansea and Plymouth Argyle, it's 1-1. Wigan Athletic and Stockport County, that's still goalless. Millwall are leading Coventry City by 1-0, while Sheffield Wednesday leading Leeds United by 1-0. So that's the update from those fixtures as we do it. Then in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers, Celtic did share the spoils with Almaty in a goalless draw, while Pafos FC a goal behind against Crvena Zvezda. Sturm Graz are sharing the spoils with Bodo Glimt in a 1-1 draw at the moment. Those two games are in the 70th minute apiece. For those of you, it's finished here between West Ham United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wolves have advanced to the next stage or to the third round of the EFL Cup following that 3-2 victory over West Ham United. Wang Ki-chan missed a penalty, by the way, in the first half. That was in the 43rd minute, around there, before Gomez did, I think, pick up on the rebound to make it 1-0. Totti Gomez there to give Wolverhampton Wanderers the lead. Then Thomas Tuchel squad to get the equalizer, with Kyle Walker-Peters providing that assist. And then Lucas Paqueta capitalized on a beautiful cross by Gerard Bowen to make it 2-1 for West Ham. That was in the 63rd minute before Jürgen Strand-Larsen picked up a brace in the 82nd and 84th minutes respectively, to ensure victory for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Jürgen Strand-Larsen is a target for Newcastle. They had a bid turned down worth £50 million. I mean, it's come too late in the window. I think if that had not been the case, maybe, just maybe, Wolves would have entertained the sale. And however, reports still do suggest that if an offer comes in at the realm of about 70 75 million pounds, then their ears or minds will be turned into taking up that offer or taking Newcastle up on that offer. But at the moment, that's not the case. Then quickly, let's shut this one out and go to that game between between Brentford and FC Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium because that game is equally on. Okay. Then what else? Okay. I'm trying to see what other game we can follow up on. Sheffield United against Leeds, maybe, you know. Not really, not really. Stoke City against Bradford, no. Norwich, Southampton, no. Anyway, maybe we can do Leeds there as we also follow up on the updates from that game between, excuse me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway. Oh, okay. Everything is fading so far. But yeah, Brentford continued to lead that game by 2-0 at the moment. Leeds United are coming into this fixture on the back of a 5-0 thumping at the hands of Arsenal over the course of the weekend. That was on Saturday. So it's really they should be looking to bounce back. They should be looking to bounce back. Okay. Anyways, we will keep tabs on that little by little. Forgive the minute of silence. I just received an inbox here that I thought I should give a minute of attention. It came through on my LinkedIn, but it wasn't worth the salt. It wasn't worth the salt. By the way, Brentford have been so far surprising me. By the way, Keith Andrews is so far surprising me. This 2-0 lead against Bournemouth away at the Vitality Stadium is not one I would have expected. That I must be honest. Over the weekend, they did win that game. They won their game against Aston Villa by was it a 0-0? Yes. So again, that was another surprise result. Many of us, myself inclusive, when I say this, that we did predict Brentford to be one of the teams that will be relegated this season. My prediction is that they will finish 18th, but so far, I think he's doing a good job. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how things go. A season can be very long. It can be a marathon, but so far, so good. So far, so good at this stage. Dango Ouattara, I mean, busy having a good game so far. Oh, that's a nasty challenge. That's a nasty challenge. No wonder he's good. Kayode, that was a good, nasty challenge by Kayode. No wonder he got himself booked by the referee. Bournemouth still searching for their consolation in this game. Antoine Semenyo has not had the best of games. He's had a couple of overweight crosses. Okay, that attempt deflected. Free kick, look to set it up for a player coming from within the outside of the 18-yard box to run onto it and strike it, but it was deflected into a corner kick. They've gone for a short corner. Oh, That was foiled really, really, really fast. That was foiled really, really fast. I don't know. My football feed lately is not what it's supposed to be or what it used to be in any case. And I hope I can find a quick solution for this thing. Otherwise, I may be missing out on, okay, not missing out, but anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. Leeds are still a goal down against Sheffield Wednesday. There is 75th minute of the game. Sheffield Wednesday, one of those teams, are really, really struggling financially. Um, can hardly pay players, can hardly stay above water. And yet they are giving Leeds a run for their money. Their stadium is almost empty. Almost empty. Bournemouth still trying to probing. They are dominating the attack at the moment, but nothing good is coming of everything they are attempting. Evan Nilsson was brought on. Things have not fallen in place for him. And remember, it's a knockout competition, so whoever loses is sent packing, and we wait for the next draw and see who will be facing who at the next round of the competition. That's the nature of the EFL Cup. The game between Cambridge and Charlton Athletic has finished 3-1, so Cambridge are through to the next round as Leeds as Wolverhampton Wanderers. Then now Brentford are on the verge of advancing. Doncaster Rovers, same story. Barnsley against Waltham United, by any last minute, scares. Cardiff City well going through against Cheltenham Town, and Norwich City are being knocked out at the hands of Southampton. Wrexham have gotten the lead. It's now 3-2 in favor of Wrexham against Preston North End. So that goal came in the 85th minute. We are into the 93rd minute of added time. Sorry, into the 3rd minute of added time. So that's happening, Brentford. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Bournemouth trying to make a last minute change. I do not think that will do anything for them. Oh, no, it's not a change. Just a player running off. I don't know for what reason. Hiking Lotto, West Ham is getting relegated. I mean, given their performances, I wouldn't argue much against that. Because Graham Potter is fumbling every Graham Potter is fumbling it all. And in any case, I did mention after their loss over the weekend, after that Chelsea loss, I think it was 5-1, and I did mention that I won't be surprised if Graham Potter is the first manager to be shown the exit in this new season, because West Ham fans are as impatient as other fans may come, and so far things are not looking pretty for Graham Potter. Whatever he is doing, it's not working. It's not working. And by the way, I thought it wasn't a wise decision to start with Thomas Suchek and James Ward-Prowse in their center of midfield without natural number 6. We know none of those is a natural number 6. West Ham need to hire Nuno Espirito Santo. He's still a Nottingham Forest manager, even though there's that bickering between him and Edu Gaspar Daoud, the head of global football at Nottingham Forest. He's still a manager for Nottingham Forest. So what if it's not Nuno Espirito Santo. Who else can they look to? I mean, if 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 anything, I mean, Oliver Glasner, if he was willing to join them, I think he's a very very good manager. But away from that, from him, who could you look to bring in? The team like West Ham, they do have the resources. For me, I always thought it was the wrong move to let go of David Moyes on the back of winning them the UEFA Conference League. They brought in Julen Lopetegui. It never worked. And look where they are. Look where they are. They are no. Actually, Everton is even better than them. Everton, who maybe sacked Sean Dyche and brought in David Moyes. So if they are desperate, Sean Dyche, I mean, Sean Dyche is the kind of manager that you bring in to help you avoid conceding too many goals, to sort of build that bit of grit in you, that bit of fight. Not that he's going to win you many, many games. I mean, you know, he only had what? For me, he had only about one or two brilliant seasons with Burnley when they got to qualify for Europe at the time, and they couldn't go that far. He went to Everton, didn't have the best of time there. So yeah, but I do understand that if they are desperate, they can go for Sean Dyche. Yeah, he's one of those guys that if you want to avoid relegation, if you bring him early in time, then maybe Edin Terzic. What about Edin Terzic? I mean, anybody that you bring in without Premier League experience is going to be a gamble. Look at Graham Potter with his Premier League experience. You remember when he was still at Brighton and Hove Albion, he was being linked with teams like Manchester United. That's how he ended up at Chelsea, and it never worked out for him. So I get the feeling, you remember last season, Southampton, when they went for Ivan Juric, and after sacking Russell Martin, and it did not serve their interests, or it did not work out. So oftentimes it's a very, very huge gamble. It's a gamble that can sometimes work out for you, the way it worked out for Crystal Palace when they brought in Oliver Glasner. But remember, that came on Roy Hodgson stepping down, but Roy Hodgson had stepped in after the sacking of, Patrick Vieira. Maybe look at Vita Pereira at Wolverhampton Wanderers. He saved them from relegation. It could work, but it's always a huge gamble. But the game between Bournemouth has finished, and Brentford, with Brentford winning that one by 2-0. So they do advance to the next stage of the competition. Leeds did have found the equalizer against Sheffield Wednesday. Like I told you, Sheffield Wednesday is one of those teams that are really, really struggling. Terzic got Dortmund and got them to the Champions League final. He's at least tactically capable and available. I mean, you would argue that. But anyway, at the end of the day, you have to take a bet on someone. For as long as you feel that they can assess your squad and understand what they can work with. It's always a gamble, even for the biggest of managers. It's always a gamble. So it's one that they can take if they are willing to take it. And then you look around, the managers that for them, he just did not work out. I'm trying to remember his name. He did manage the Ghanaian national team. He was previously at Wigan and Norwich City. He's called what? Chris something. Anyways, whatever the case that is. But for a team of like West Ham's caliber and the resources that they kind of have at their disposal, yes, they're not the biggest of resources, but they're enough to help them compete to be finishing within the top 8 every season in, season out. That's the kind of resources that they have at their disposal. So I'm looking through these Premier League teams. You see, usually you can't tempt a manager into coming in. I do not think Cesc Fabregas is going to leave Como. I mean, he's rejected moves to teams like Bayer Leverkusen before they had hired, Ten Hag. Red Bull Group wanted him, and he still refused. So I don't think they get access to him. I'm thinking, who else? Who else do you look to sort of dispossess Andoni Iraola at FC Bournemouth? I think he's happy at Bournemouth at the moment. The yes, this season is not yet off to a brilliant start, but yeah, it can be better. Hi Pedri, how are you doing, my brother? How has been your day? Anything good from your world? How is your day? How any news from Barcelona regarding the transfer window that is edging closer? We only have a couple of days left to the closure of the transfer window. Remember, it closes on 1st September. That will be next week on Monday. So today being Wednesday, there's only a few, days left to go. I'm very good. I'm very good. I'm very good. But it's good to hear that you are good as well. So anything coming up Barcelona's sleeves? Kobbie Mainoo wants to leave Manchester United, or is considering leaving Manchester United after after a lack of game time. And for me, guys, this is what baffles me. I'm one who doesn't quickly believe that you can have a player so good and then suddenly they become so bad, especially when injuries are not their primary struggles. Yes, he had his injury, snafu, I think last season, but he's not a player that is often out injured, in that kind of sense. In any case, he's been more available than Mason Mount can say for himself, and yet Mason Mount is getting game time. Mason Mount getting game time ahead of Kobbie Mainoo. My view is that pull Mason Mount out of that team, let Casemiro or Manuel Ugarte play alongside Kobbie Mainoo, then play Bruno Fernandes, in the Mason Mount kind of place. This idea Ruben Amorim is trying to do, and we're talking about a manager who I think in 29 games in the Premier League is only 1-7. He's only 1-7. Actually, it's what, coming on 30 games, maybe? That's not a good record. That's a kind of record that usually a manager who is facing relegation would have. That's the kind of record. And look at Manchester United present day, compare them to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, we know that it takes a manager a bit of time to settle into a new role, to try and get a team playing the way he wants them to play. But for Ruben Amorim, I'm starting to feel it's taking a little bit too long. Yes, for some it takes that long. And I remember I saw Crystal Palace sort of struggle a bit when Oliver Glasner had come in. They had their wins on board, but they had their moments of struggle, especially when you go back to last season. At the start of the season, they were shambolic. In fact, he was a candidate for being fired when you look at the first half of the season. And it was in the second part of the season where they really, really came good. But that notwithstanding, you look at what Thomas Frank has been able to do at Tottenham Hotspur. They're not all good and mighty, but when you assess them, you look at them and think to yourself, at least there are basics that you look at this Tottenham team and say, okay, now we can see the sharp contrast between Thomas Frank, what he's telling these players to do, and what Ange Postecoglou was trying to teach them. And there's a sharp contrast in that. So that what gives a Tottenham fan very big hope. You say FC Barcelona, Chelsea registered interest. Chelsea registered interest in Fermin Lopez and are prepared to offer 50 million euros. Laporte is more than happy to sell. However, Hansi Flick has the final say and is against it. Yeah, that report did come through earlier today, and I was thinking to myself, you have Chelsea are pursuing Xavi Simons, they're pursuing Alejandro Garnacho, Fermin Lopez as well. What's happening? What's happening? Where is he going to play? Now, I understand that big teams have big squads and they can, but why would what incentive would Fermin Lopez have to leave Barcelona and join Chelsea? I mean, if it's not money, what is it then? Because Chelsea are not any bigger a club than Chelsea. Chelsea are not any bigger club than Barcelona. When you talk about competitiveness, I mean, you had Barcelona in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League last season, and Chelsea were playing in the Conference League. That notwithstanding, although they are playing in the UEFA Champions League this season, I mean, what's the incentive? I do not see it on my end. I just do not see why. But anyways, at the end of the day, players are won over. They are convinced to make certain moves, and he could make it. But I mean, it's not like, yes, he doesn't get game time every single day, every single match they out, but at least he does get game time, oftentimes coming off the bench, which will still kind of be the same place he ends up when he joins Chelsea, because I do not see how he knocks out Cole Palmer in that team to be starting. You also say we will most likely play in the historic Spotify Camp Nou this season. We registered at the stadium for the UEFA Champions League and La Liga. You registered it and it's been accepted. I mean, I know it's still under construction. I do not know what's the percentage of completeness there is to the stadium at this stage, because every time I look online to see if there's more updated images, most of the images I get are from some time back. When I think they were laying the turf on, most of the seats are done, but there's a section that was incomplete. You say Inaki Pena will leave on loan to Elche, Szczesny and Ronnie Badge will be registered. Okay, that's good. That's good. What's happening with Marc-Andre ter Stegen? Any updates? I know he first, charges or sanctions from the club. What's happening with him? Any chance he will leave the club before the close of the transfer window? What's happening with him? So back to Kobbie Mainoo. For Kobbie Mainoo, we're talking about a youngster who has had a big breakthrough at Manchester United, and he's been loved across the fan base, but not just the fan base. Really, you look at the 360 that he's managed to, or the kinds of levels he's managed to be at in recent times. We're talking about a player who was starting for England at the Euro 2024 against Spain. That's the player we are talking about, Only 20 years of age. Let's not forget that. And you see, for a young player of his age, when you get the breakthrough season, when you get that breakthrough, you do not want to regress. Injury or no injury, you do not want to digress. We will welcome 40,000 people at the start, increasing to 60,000 at the end of the season, until it's up to 110,000 people for next season. 110,000 people, I thought it was going to be 105,000 people. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but to the best of my recollection, it was 105,000. Anyways, maybe usually it depends. Ter Stegen is set to remain until January because of the surgery he underwent. Okay. You remember what I told you when we were discussing Marc-Andre ter Stegen, that the only way Barcelona gets rid of him at this stage is if they choose to rip up his contract, which will require Barcelona to pay him, to pay out his contract. You say 105 set with 5,000 VIP and media seats. Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification. On that one. The 105,000 people had not accounted for VIP seats and the media tribunal. But again, 5,000, okay, maybe 4,000 worth of seats for VIPs. That's huge. That's a huge number. And then 1,000 to accommodate the media tribunal. Understandable, given when you look at matchday broadcasters or writers and things like that, they can be one to many sometimes. Anyways, so do you think Kobbie Mainoo should be leaving Manchester United this summer? What do you think, Pedri? What do you think? Because for me, I feel like, is he being impatient? I do not think he's being impatient. I think sometimes you can feel it when you're being frozen out of a squad. Because last season he was being given a bit of game time, but at one point being played as a first time. He's never that good an attacking midfielder to be given that role in the first place. He helps you strike that bit of balance between a defensive midfielder and an attacking midfielder. which is why he's suitable for an 8th role. Although there are players that are better at it because he's not mastered yet the art of dictating play, and he can be very, very good on his given day, winning the ball back quite effectively and distributing it well. I remember Paul Scholes describing him as Paul Scholes described him as he's the best midfielder he's seen since Zidane in terms of a profile and similarity. He said, and he was saying, I've seen people compare him to me, but I wasn't that good at the age of 19. And maybe he is true about that. But and then Rio Ferdinand compared him to Clarence Seedorf. Whatever the comparisons were, really, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that a youngster has been compared. When Jesse Lingard was coming out the ranks of Manchester United, the news said that Manchester United have found their Xavi. Did he live to that hype? Not by a long shot, really. So Pedri says, I think Mainoo should leave. He will most likely not get minutes because of Bruno playing deep, Ugarte, Casemiro, and Man United linked to Baleba. Now, Baleba is not going to be moving this transfer window, but a miracle. I mean, we can never rule out anything until the transfer window officially shuts. But Brighton has told all potential suitors that the player is not for sale, at least this summer. And I think the situation will stay that way for the remaining days of the transfer window. Then they were linked with an alternative move for a central midfielder, but again, not much headway has been made. For me, for Manchester United, I would have explored a deal for Adam Wharton. I do not know if he does not meet their requirements in their own assessment, but he's one of those players that I really, really have come to appreciate. Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. He does play alongside, I think, Taichi Kamada in that Crystal Palace midfield. So that's what I think. But Kobbie Mainoo, I mean, he's really capable. Actually, for me, I'm of the view that Manchester United just need to tweak their system. Or even if you do not tweak the system, you can still accommodate him. For example, if Man United today woke up and reverted to a back four, where you play maybe two centre backs, you have Nusa Mazorui, you have Patrick Togu or Diego Dalot, whichever, Luke Shaw at left back, and then you come in the midfield, you have Manelo Ugarte or Casemiro playing alongside Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes ahead of those, a double pivot, and then you have Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, and Benjamin Sesko. I think that's a team that can work. But I mean, the manager wants to play his back three, so be it. But it's going to come at a cost. One, it has already come at a cost of players seemingly taking long to learn his system. Two, it's going to come at a cost with players taking long to cope or having some bad games, like the way we saw Madou Diallo over the weekend in that game against Fulham. Players like Bruno Fernandes having bad games because they're being played deeper than they are more comfortable with or than they are accustomed to play. So it's going to come in that sort of form or shape. So that's one of the things that we ought to expect from that Manchester United side. But I look at it and I think to myself, if they change a few things here and there, that situation could really, really quickly change for the better for them in terms of not just their playing style, but in terms of how they contend with opponents. But like I said, the manager is stubborn. He is willing to stick to his guns, and there's nothing we can do to convince him otherwise. So then Yeremy Pino is joining Crystal Palace that I told you earlier on in the broadcast. Then there have been reports that Andre Onana is set to join West Ham United on a season-long loan, but according to multiple reports, those rumors are wide of the mark at the moment. So they're playing down those reports at the moment, even though Manchester United remain in talks with Senne Lammens from Royal Antwerp. They would want to get a deal done for him. We've spoken about Jakub Kiwior, we've spoken about Piero Hincapie. Then Fiorentina are in negotiations with Victor Lindelof and advancing well over a potential deal. Everton also approached Lindelof while the Swedish defender is tempted by a new chapter in Italy. So then Carlos Sola, concrete option for Real Sociedad, with the club-to-club talks underway with Paris Saint-Germain. Sola is keen on a move and serious option for midfielder, as Marca reports. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Wolves are closing doors to Wang Ki-chan exit in the final days after two approaches from two Premier League clubs. So looks like that won't be happening. Then Lucas Vasquez has formally joined Bayer Leverkusen, so that deal is complete. Then Dani Ceballos wants Olympic Marseille move. He trusts the project and wants to play on a regular basis ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So would be a brilliant signing for Roberto Di Zerbi down there. So then there's still an expectation that Liverpool could still make a late attempt to try and sign Alexander Isak from Newcastle. Whether Newcastle would accept whatever the bid would be remains to be seen. But given that they are still failing to land targets, I do not really see that happening in my view. Then also, Swedish. This is a code now. We are getting into the transfer, gossip and speculation and things like that as they do come through quickly, as compiled by BBC Sport. We are getting into that in just a bit. Just checking to find confirmation here. Okay. All right. So Swedish striker Alexander Isak, 25, has told Newcastle he still wants to leave for Liverpool despite the intervention of club chairman Yassari Al-Lumayan and a meeting with co-owner Jamie Rauben. That's according to the Telegraph. Manchester United have reached an agreement in principle with Real Betis for 25-year-old Brazilian winger Anthony to return to the Spanish club in what could be an initial loan with an obligation to buy, according to the Telegraph. Then Manchester United are also hoping to agree personal terms with goalkeeper Sene Lammens in order to sign the 23-year-old Belgian from Royal Antwerp before the transfer window closes. Real Madrid and Atletico. Now, I saw some people questioning whether Manchester United would be on the right track. Interesting, one of their most important positions in the goalkeeping position with a young goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp in Sene Lammens at the age of 23. And I was thinking to myself, Ferguson did that with David De Gea Quintana, when he joined from Athletic Bilbao. So I wouldn't see too much of a fuss about that. For as long as he's capable, give him the chance to prove himself. Then Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid are keeping tabs on Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo. That's according to the Mail. While Mainoo has also emerged as a target for Fulham alongside Arsenal's 25-year-old winger Wes Nelson, according to Team Talk. Porto closing in on a loan deal with an obligation to buy for Jakub Kiwior, that pretty much we've discussed, while Crystal Palace are preparing for talks with Liverpool for English attacking midfielder Harvey Elliott, 22, as they accelerate plans to find a replacement for England international Ebele Eze. That's according to Football Insider. Bayer Leverkusen and Galatasaray are set to rival Crystal Palace for the signature of 30-year-old Manchester City and Switzerland defender Manela Kanji. But the deal may not happen for Bayer Leverkusen because of his wages. Could be an issue, could be a sticking point there. Then Brentford are considering a move for Borussia Dortmund's 22-year-old German forward Max Bayer with the Bundesliga club. Also closing in on a deal to sign Portugal striker Fabio Silva, 23, from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Roma have held talks with Chelsea and the representatives of Tarek George to sign the 19-year-old English winger. That's according to Gianluca Di Mazzario in Italian. While Orlando Garnacho has rejected a new approach from Saudi Pro League clubs in the last 48 hours, as talks between Manchester United and Chelsea continue to advance for the 21-year-old Argentine winger. Then West Ham are closing in on a deal to sign AC Monaco's French midfielder. Magasa for about £17.3 million. Then a loan deal for Nottingham Forest's Ivory Coast defensive midfielder Ibrahim Sangare is also being explored by West Ham, who are interested in Strasbourg's French midfielder Junior Mwang, 22, with and Middlesbrough English midfielder Hayden Heki, 23. Nottingham Forest have had an initial offer of about £10 million for an Italian right back, Nicolo Savona, 22, rejected by Juventus. That's according to Gianluca Di Mazzario in Italy. So all those deals are being explored by the respective teams as compiled by BBC Sport. Like I said, we'll keep the best of tabs on whatever potential deals will be happening in the coming days as we look towards the close of the transfer window, but it's increasingly looking heated in that respect. Okay. Looks like Dominic Calvert-Lewin missed the penalty. Isn't that already the order of the day? Anyways, allow me to wish you a blessed night. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, King Lotto and Pedri, for your submissions and contributions towards tonight's podcast. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the night, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay blessed and bye-bye.